Our journey continues, this time to another fertile province in southern China. Our destination, Guilin, situated in the Guangxi-Zhuang Autonomous Region. To foreign visitors, the name Guilin is synonymous with Lingjiang, or Li River. Guilin brings to mind the Li River and the unique picturesque quality of its banks. We do not want to miss witnessing the beauty of the Guilin world, which has become one of the most popular themes in numerous Chinese classical poems and paintings. The beauty of flora and fauna along the banks of Lijiang creates the feeling of awe as to Allah's majesty and wisdom in creating his subjects. We also visited the Ludi Cave, a naturally formed cave on the banks of the Lijiang, known to the locals as the Natural Palace of Art. Stalactites and stalagmites of various shapes, all naturally formed, look more majestic with the help of colourful lights. Visitors also have the opportunity to travel along the dark river in the cave. The stop at Ludi Cave is part of the formal programme for visitors to Guilin. From here, visitors will take a boat to continue the journey along the Li River, a journey which takes about 7 hours. We board the only boat which is reserved for Muslim visitors. This is a good omen to us. Islam is not only known, but also respected in Guilin. What makes the Li River in Guilin one of the most popular destinations in China is its water, which is clean, greenish in colour, and the breathtaking view of hundreds of limestone hills in the background, with various shaped peaks. A few hills are named after shapes that they resemble, such as pagoda, dragon, crown, finger, and snail. The activity of these fishermen is interesting to watch. Allah says in Surah Ra'd, verse 3, which means, "And it is He who spread out the earth, and set thereon mountains standing firm, and flowing rivers. And fruit of every kind He made in pairs, 2 and 2. He draweth the night as a veil over the day. Behold, verily in these things there are signs for those who consider." Guilin, with a heritage of more than 2,000 years, has its own Islamic history. We shall try to trace the Muslim inhabitants, about 21,000 strong, in this autonomous Guangxi region with a total of 22 mosques. The history and development of Islam in Guilin is not that well known if compared to other locations visited by our crew, such as Kashgar, Xi'an, Beijing and Shanghai. However, what is known is that Islam has set its foot here about 700 years ago, during the Yuan dynasty. We managed to find a mosque which is said to be the biggest mosque not only in Guilin town, but also in the whole province of Guangxi. This mosque is also said to be the oldest mosque in Guangxi, although its architecture is obviously modern. This is because this majestic mosque was renovated in 1994. The Guilin Mosque was originally built during the 13th century by the Muslim soldiers who worked under the Yuan dynasty's ruler. The history of the building of this mosque is similar to the Songjiang Mosque in Shanghai. Like this mosque, the Songjiang Mosque was also built by Muslim soldiers who served the Yuan emperors. These soldiers then settled down here and built the mosque with the emperor's permission. Today, the government of China gives permission for its citizens to embrace any religion that they want to. According to Qin Jiqiang, the former chief director of religious affairs for the Guilin province, the locals, including the Muslims, are free to practice their religion as long as they do not break the law of the land. Qin Jiqiang, who is a friend of several local Muslim leaders, added that the Muslims are free to form associations and societies, but they need to register them first to enable the government to acknowledge them, protect them, and give aid when needed. The early Guilin Mosque, built around 700 years ago, was once repaired in the 17th century. In November 1944, the Japanese army entered Guilin and destroyed most of the structure of the mosque and the valuable artifacts inside. 3 years after that, the mosque was rebuilt through the contributions of the public. The Guilin Mosque, still standing strong today, is a worthy proof of the undying flame of Islam in Guilin. Its believers are still faithful to the Creator, still united and steadfast under the banner of Islam. Before the Chinese Cultural Revolution era from 1966 to 1976, Guilin had a total of 7 mosques, 2 of which were specifically for Muslim women. However, there are only 5 mosques left now, and only 1 specially for women. Apart from the prayer hall, the Guilin Mosque also has a library, a meeting room, and houses the office of the Guilin Islamic Society. Although Nanning is the capital of the Guangxi province, Guilin was chosen as the centre of the Islamic Society because nearly 60% of Guangxi Muslims live in Guilin. The activities of the Islamic Society are not restricted only to religious activities. It also organises social programmes such as giving aid to the poor and to victims of natural disasters. The mosque also handles Muslim burials. The mosque's committee members provide facilities such as supplying tombstones made from stone. Minimum payment is charged for every order. However, the services are provided to the poor for free. These pieces of rock came from the nearby hills. According to the president of the Guilin Islamic Society, Nuruddin Jiangdao De, 65 years old, the local Muslims who pass away will be buried at a special cemetery about 60 kilometers from the city. The mosque also has its own transportation for funeral services. It was bought using money donated by the locals. Although the Muslim community in Guilin is not big, they are still able to build a complete Muslim community. The mosque becomes the main reference centre, while the Islamic Society becomes the main force behind the various activities conducted, encompassing Islamic laws and marriage. We then visited the Minju Road area, where there are Muslim hawkers. We were told that since the end of the Cultural Revolution 22 years ago, The central government has given back all the rights of local Muslims to them. Moreover, the government also gives monetary aid and paid holidays on Eid al-Fitr. It also allows the slaughter of animals according to the Muslim law. We are also taken to Chongshanlu Mosque, which is situated not far from the Guilin Mosque. The Chongshanlu Mosque, which was built on about 1,300 square meters of land around 300 years ago, during the Qing dynasty. During our visit, this mosque was being renovated. The Chongshanlu Mosque also has a special room to prepare the dead for burial. In this room, the deceased are cleaned, bathed and wrapped in a white cloth before being brought to the prayer hall. The deceased is then interred in a cemetery for the Guilin Muslims, which is located about 60 kilometers from the mosque. The Chongshanlu Mosque has been declared a historical building in China. This mosque, incorporating traditional Chinese architecture, is the most well-preserved old mosque in China. The prayer hall of Chongshanlu Mosque, which is of medium size, can house about 200 worshippers at any one time. After this, we will go to Guangzhou, the place where Islam first got a foothold in China through the ocean Silk Route, and the place where a companion of the Prophet was interred. This is part of the Pearl River scenery in Guangzhou. Guangzhou, the capital of Guangdong province, is one of the biggest port towns in the Republic of China. Guangzhou has become the main port and gateway for trade and friendship with the outside world. Guangzhou, fast developing, is considered a metropolitan city. 40% of its 5 million inhabitants stay in the city centre. Guangzhou was once known as Canton and Camfu. As early as 1,300 years ago, the Silk Sea Route, which connects the trade between China and the West, began in Guangzhou. In Islamic history, Guangzhou is important because it is said that Islam was initially introduced to China through the Silk Route. We shall try to trace the original port, the place where the Sea Silk Route starts. With the aid of the locals, we were able to find this area, which is believed to be the original location of the Guangzhou port. It is situated about 1 hour's drive from the city. The surroundings have drastically changed. No more docked ships and merchants calling out to customers. Today, it is surrounded by factories, houses, gardens and a temple. The truth of the claim of the locals that this site was once the Guangzhou port of old is difficult to prove. What is clear is that the local Islamic society has to do thorough research to locate the true silk trade route, backed by historical facts. Guangzhou was among the earliest places in China to embrace Islam about 1,300 years ago, during the reign of the Tang dynasty. This view was strengthened by the existence of an old tomb, which the locals believe is the tomb of Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, one of the Prophet's companions. The tomb is situated in an old Muslim cemetery in Guangzhou city. Sa'ad was sent to lead Islamic missionary activities in mainland China. He was a warrior who accompanied the Prophet to many battles. During the reign of the Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, Sa'ad defeated the Persian army in the Al-Qadisiyah War in Iraq. Sa'ad's tomb is situated in a special area at the back. If what is claimed by the locals is true, Saad's tomb is the only companion's tomb to be situated in China, thousands of kilometers away from the places where Islam originated, in Mecca and Medina. In the next episode, we will visit one of the oldest mosques in China, which is said to have been built by one of the Prophet's companions.